In the 50s and 60s, the Ku Klux Klan and the citizens' councils and all them were trying to preserve a society, a Jim Crow society. They were trying to preserve the status quo. In the 70s and 80s, they came to realize that that society was gone. And so their stated goals was to overturn the current society. They were no longer defending the status quo. They were trying to oppose the status quo, turn over the status quo. Out of that phenomenon came the notion of the white victim, the dispossessed majority in their own term, the grouping of white people who saw themselves no longer as having the prerogatives and privileges of the ruling group. They saw that the first move towards multiracial democracy turned white people into victims. This is, of course, a false notion that any objective analysis of the facts of American life would prove that white people still have the upper hand on every aspect of everything from getting a job to getting a house to getting a bank loan to passing on their wealth to their children to even to your health and happiness in society. Those things still remain overwhelmingly privileges of white folks, but these folks had invented the notion of the white victim, the dispossessed majority. The Tea Parties have come to embody that notion of victimhood, albeit in a different way than it was articulated, say, by the Ku Klux Klan in the 70s and 80s, or albeit differently than it was, articulated by some of the philosophers of the movement at that time. But it is nonetheless a movement that feels like they've lost their country, and to use their own slogan, they want it back. They feel like they've lost the country. Not that they've lost their individual standing, not that they've lost their job, but that they've lost their country, and they want their country, their nationhood back. So it's a nationalist movement. It's a nationalist movement that embodies a re-articulated notion of this dispossessed majority white victimhood. I don't think these things are economically driven. Now, the fact that we have economic problems, makes for a fertile territory, but it's not because people are unemployed, because the unemployed people aren't in the Tea Parties. The unemployed people don't buy massive amounts of guns and pay dues to the National Rifle Association. The unemployed people are barely surviving, and they're not part of this.